two, three, four.
Hola, buenos días.
Good morning. My name is Adeline Marchini. My pronouns are she, her, and I serve gratefully as president of your Board of Trustees. Buenos días. Mi nombre es Adelina Marchini. Mis pronombres son ella, y sirvo con gratitud como presidente de su junta directiva.
I am Eva Vioto, and my pronouns are she, her. I serve our children and families as our Sunday Children Programs Coordinator. Mi nombre es Eva Vioto, y mis pronombres son ella. Sirvo a nuestros niños y familias como nuestra coordinadora del programa de los niños.
Welcome to our special Sunday service with our special guest, Dolores Huerta.
Dolores Huerta is one of the most influential social justice organizers and activists in American history. We are honored to be blessed with her presence this morning.
To all who have gathered here this morning, we are so glad that you are here with us at the Unitarian Universalist Church of Fresno, California.
Welcome to everyone on our Alluvial Avenue church campus. Welcome to everyone on our online church campus. And welcome to everyone joining the service later on Facebook or YouTube. We are one congregation in many places. Somos una congregación en muchos lugares.
We are a proudly progressive religious community. Within this congregation, you are welcome no matter your race, culture of origin, age, spiritual background, or religious beliefs. Your neurodiversity is welcome here. You are welcome no matter the level of your formal education or the amount of money in your bank account. Your disabilities are welcome here. We welcome everyone from the LGBTQ+ community. You are welcome with or without documentation, con papeles y sin papeles. All are welcome here. Todos son bienvenidos aquí.
We acknowledge that our Alluvial Avenue campus sits on the traditional homeland of the Yokuts people, who are the past, present, and future stewards of this land.
This morning, we will not be sharing personal joys, sorrows, concerns, or gratitudes during the service, but you are welcome to share them in the chat box.
Now, in our Alluvial Avenue sanctuary, in the chat box, or the silence of your hearts, let's take a moment to say buenos dias and greet one another.
Buenos dias. Mi nombre es Timoteo, and my pronouns are he, him, and I serve gratefully as minister here at the Unitarian Universalist Church of Fresno. Let us allow this ancient sound of the tingsha to carry us to that quiet, knowing place within.
One, two, three, four. It's a mighty hard road that my poor hands have pulled. My poor feet have traveled that hard, dusty road. Out of the dust bowl and westward we rode. Your desert was hot and your mountains were cold. I've worked in your orchards of peaches and prunes. I've slept on the ground in the light of the moon. On the edge of your city, you'll see us, and then we come with the dust and we go with the wind. California, Arizona, you make all your crops. Then north up to Oregon to gather your hops. Dig the grapes from your ground, cut the grapes from your vine, to shed on your table your life's sparkling wine. Green pastures of plenty from dry deserts down, from the Grand Coulee Dam where the waters run down. Every state in this union has migrants that been. We work in this fight and we fight till we win. Los campesinos ahorita se van a otros estados para trabajar. Años tras años rodar y rodar, en hongos descalzas, vuelas par en par. Por el campesino hay que luchar, no tiene derechos, no se puede quejar. Vamos todos unidos y hay que ganar la lucha del pobre. Tiene que triunfar.
Hello again. Hola de nuevo. For those of you who just arrived, I'm Adeline Martini, President of our Board of Trustees. If you are on our online campus and have a candle or chalice, please bring it close, as we'll soon be kindling our flames together. Our chalice lighting words are entitled, "We Hold That Moment in Our Spirit," and are by Adam Blake. When the great mosaic of humanity is treated with respect and dignity, when no person is threatened by hunger or war, when we have extended hospitality to the stranger and tended to Let us rise now in body or spirit and join in the singing the song of praise. We are marching in the light.
1, 2, 3.
We are marching in the light of love. 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 We are marching, marching, we are marching, marching, we are marching in the light of love. We are marching, marching, we are marching, marching, we are marching in the light of love. We are learning 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 in the light of love. We are learning, learning, we are learning, learning, we are learning in the light of love. We are learning, learning, we are learning, learning, we are learning in the light of love. We are changing 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 in the light of love. We are changing, changing, we are changing, changing, we are changing in the light of love. We are changing, changing, we are changing, changing, we are changing in the light of love. We are marching 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 in the light of love. We are marching, marching, we are marching, marching, we are marching in the light of love. We are marching, marching, we are marching, marching, we are marching in the light of love.
I invite you to remain standing as we say together the mission of our congregation. La misión de la Iglesia Unitaria Universalista de Fresno es amar inclusivamente, crecer espiritualmente, servir con gratitud y trabajar por la justicia. The mission of the Unitarian Universalist Church of Fresno is to love inclusively, grow spiritually, serve gratefully, and work for justice. Please be seated. So Adeline had those beautiful words about the chalice, which is the symbol of Unitarian Universalism. And in just a few minutes, our kids are going to head off to their spiritual explorations, and they're going to be building their own chalices to take home. Now, when I look at the chalice, I think of the flame as the light of love and the passion for justice, two things that burn very brightly in the heart of our special guest today. When I also think about the chalice, this specific one, I notice this. See, everybody see this? And I'm imagining this is the heart, and these are the arms, and they're up over the head. And I'm remembering a photograph from 60 years ago. And I imagine that Dolores Huerta is a living chalice with the fire of love and the passion of justice in her heart as she holds aloft a sign that proclaims strike, because she is willing to fight for justice, for kindness, for compassion, and for equity for all people. And so, kids, as you head off to make your own chalices, I hope you remember that passion, that light, that love. And if you're walking down the center aisle with Eva to head out to class, you'll be passing Dolores Huerta, this lady 60 years ago. So let's sing our kids out.
We hold you in our love as you go, and your heart be at peace as you go, to nurture the spark of your precious life. We hold you in our heart as you go. We hold you in our love as you go. May your heart be at peace as you go, to nurture the spark of your precious life. We hold you in our love as you go.
I invite us to just settle for a moment into the chair, perhaps our feet flat on the ground, allowing us to feel grounded but held by that spirit of love. And I invite us to breathe into this space. Imagine that you're breathing in peace into your body. You hold that peace for just a moment. You breathe out love. And again together, we breathe in peace. We hold the moment. We breathe out love. And one more time together, breathing in peace. We hold the moment. We breathe out love. We continue breathing together in this space made sacred by our intention to be together and to be recalled to our best selves again. And sometimes the voices calling us to our best selves again are children, more often not. But I invite you to breathe now into the fullness of your week, the fullness of your heart, and in the silence of that precious heart, just acknowledge any sorrows or concerns that you're carrying on this day. Just honor those concerns or those sorrows. And as we continue to breathe, let's breathe back into the heart and acknowledge the gratitude or the joy or happiness that we're carrying and perhaps the reasons why. Just honor that in your heart. Collectively this morning, we also hold our beloveds, those who are unable to be with us because of health. We remember Joanne B., Margaret H., Bev F., Glenda R., Pat M., and Babs E. Expanding beyond the walls of this sanctuary, we also remember all those in Morocco who are living in the aftershocks and after effects of that devastating earthquake. And I encourage those who are able to give support financially to please, as you are able, do so for rescue and rebuilding. This morning we also celebrate the life of Reverend Betty Hingle, who passed into the mysteries of death this week. Reverend Betty is a beloved former minister here at the Unitarian Universalist Church of Fresno who left a long and a lasting imprint on the congregation that is felt to this day. And so for all that you're holding in your heart for all that has been shared, and for all those who on this day have no one to say their name with gentleness or love, we light our candle of community. By our remembering, may we and they be blessed. As is our custom here at the Unitarian Universalist Church of Fresno, on the first anniversary of the passing of a member of this church, we light a candle of remembrance and we honor that life and that memory. Today, we light a candle of remembrance celebrating the life of Bill Maya. Bill had a gentle spirit and he had a fierce passion for social justice. His life included military service overseas and stateside, followed by a career as a lawyer. After coming to Fresno in 2013, Bill became an active volunteer at the VA Medical Center, receiving training for mental health counseling. Bill was fascinated by genealogy. He played the bagpipes. He was an avid mountain climber and summited Mount Kilimanjaro. He was active in progressive politics and was a member both at Temple Beth Israel and here at the Unitarian Universalist Church of Fresno, where he served gratefully as a member of our Board of Trustees. And so we light this candle for Bill Maya. In the glow of these flames, let us join our voices in our call to meditation. Voice still and small, pequeña voz.
Voice still and small, deep inside all, I hear you call, singing. In storm and rain, sorrow and pain, still will remain, singing. Calming my fears, quenching my tears, through all the years, singing. Pequeña voz dentro del ser, oigo tu voz cantando. In viro dolor y hondo y terror, siento tu amor cantando. Siempre darás calma y solaz en mi pesar cantando.
Will you join with me in the spirit of reflection or prayer? Let us pray. Spirit of life, fuente de amor, source of wonder and mystery that some of us call God, Amidst the storms and sorrows of life, we easily forget there is a wisdom, a guidance within us. In sorrow and pain, we forget to listen to that voice, still and small, deep inside all. La pequeña voz dentro del ser. May we remember that which whispers within us, calming our fears, quenching our tears through all the years. Singing. Before our conversation with Dolores Huerta, we're going to sing a song that is near and dear to her heart. It's also going to allow us to move a few things on the chancel here so we can set up the chairs for our conversation. The song that we're going to sing in just a few minutes originated in the African American tradition. As best we know, it first appeared in the labor movement in 1831, sung by coal miners who were striking in West Virginia. Just 7 years later, the song was again sung in San Antonio, Texas, when Mexican migrants, most of whom were women and children, went on strike. They were working in a pecan factory shelling pecans. They went on strike. The police brutally arrested many of them, put them in jail. They were squeezing 36 women into a jail cell that was made to hold 6 people. 36 women and children stuffed. That night, this song, "We Shall Not Be Moved," was, for the first time that is documented, translated into Spanish and then sung in the jail by those women and young girls. In 1965, Dolores Huerta used this song in Delano, California, using it, singing it, she said, every day, because the strikers were on the picket line from very early in the morning till way late at night. And they used this song to lift their spirits. And as Dolores Huerta said, this song gave them the sense that everything and anything and victory is possible. And so I invite us to sing this song that has so much history and so much connection to Dolores Huerta. Please rise in body or spirit and let's sing.
We shall not be moved. We shall not be moved, just like a tree planted by the water. We shall not be moved. No, no, no nos moverán. No, no, no nos moverán como un árbol firme junto al río. No nos moverán. All of us together, we shall not be moved. All of us together, we shall not be moved, just like a tree planted by the water. We shall not be moved. Unidos no de lucha, no nos moverán. Unidos en la lucha, no nos moverán como un árbol firme junto al río. No nos moverán. Together we will triumph, we shall not be moved. Together we will triumph, we shall not be moved, just like a tree planted by the water. We shall not be moved. Unidos venceremos, no nos moverán. Unidos venceremos, no nos moverán como un árbol firme junto al río. No nos moverán. We shall not be moved. We shall not be moved, just like a tree planted by the water. We shall not be moved. No, no, no nos moverán. No, no, no nos moverán como un árbol firme junto al río. No nos moverán.
Please be seated. We're going to give the band a moment to exit. Our special guest is one of the most influential social justice advocates and organizers in American history. You have touched the lives of millions of people and changed their lives. Of course, you are the co-founder of the American, sorry, I'm a little nervous. I gotta tell you, United Farm Workers, and also the founder and president of the Dolores Huerta Foundation. You've been arrested 22 times. I love that. And you are a two-time U.S. Presidential Award recipient, including the Medal of Freedom from President Obama in 2012, the highest civilian honor. You coined the phrase that is the heart of justice movements around the world, Si Se Puede, and you created a grassroots movement to enroll and have Latinos and Latinas who were disenfranchised from the voting process to sign up to vote and turn out to vote. That was really the first time in American history that that happened, and all political parties now do that. So thank you for all of these gifts. I'd like to invite us back to fairly much the beginning. There's a name that was so important to you, Fred Ross Sr. Could you tell us what he taught you and why he is often called the godfather of farmers' rights?
And I also call him the godfather of the Chicano movement, okay? Because without Fred Ross, there probably would never have been a United Farm Workers. And I say that because actually Cesar and I belong to another organization before we started the union, and that was a community service organization, and we had a chapter right here in Fresno, actually. And in that organization that was started by a group of Latinos in Los Angeles, and they were able to get the first Latino elected to the City Council of Los Angeles, Eduardo Roybal, who also became the first Mexican-American to the Congress of the United States of California. And the way that Fred taught us how to organize, well, no, first of all, he believed that people have the power to solve their own problems. They know what the solutions that they need, but the thing is that what they have to learn is that they have the power to do it. And the thing is that they cannot wait for somebody to come in from the outside, that they have the power, and the only thing that they have to learn is how to do the advocacy, you know, how to work the system, so to speak. And this is what Fred taught us. And so Cesar and I both learned from him and many other organizers. And the way that we organized people was in their homes. Something like a Tupperware party. I think ladies might know about what that is like, or a jewelry party. And that you meet in people's homes and you talk about the issues, and then you show them examples of how other people have actually solved their problems. And once people understand that they have the power, and then they get involved, and then you grow the grassroots leadership that you need. And there is a book written about Fred Ross Sr. It's called The Social Arsonist, if people want to look that up. And he actually learned his organizing. I was happy that you had a song, a Woody Guthrie song, actually in Weed Patch, California, south of Bakersfield. It's a little town south of Bakersfield where they filmed The Grapes of Wrath. You know, Woody Guthrie and Henry Fonda were there. And all of the people that came from the Southwest, the Okies and the Arkies, and I'm sure people here might have some of that legacy in their families. And that's where Fred learned how to organize, working first with the Okies and the Arkies. Then he went to work with the Japanese when they put them into the internment camps. And then he was asked to go work, I guess, with the Mexican-American community in East LA. And so we owe our legacy to Fred Ross Sr.
One of the things you said about those early days of organizing, it required immense patience. I believe it was 3 years before you really took any action. I'm wondering if you have any advice. There are two groups here in Fresno that are in the process of getting started. One is ACE, the Association of Clovis Educators, who are looking to unionize Clovis teachers. And yes, we support
please.
that. The other is an organization called IAF, Industrial Area Foundation. They're just getting off at the starting gate here in Fresno. Some of our members of the church are part of IAF. And these folks are doers, and they're used to doing, and this is requiring patience. And I'm wondering if you could speak to how important it is to build relationships first before action.
Well, I don't think it's so much about building relationships. It's about telling people, letting them know that they have this power to do things. And I tell people my own story. I was an activist in Stockton, California, where I grew up. And when Mr. Ross taught us how to organize it, one day a gentleman came in and he had had a stroke. He was crippled and he was on crutches, and he needed some public assistance because he couldn't work, a farm worker. So I took him down to the welfare department down there so he could get some assistance for his family, and they refused to let him make an application. And so I went back to the office and I told Mr. Ross, I said, gee, they wouldn't let this man make an application. And he said to me, you go down there to that office right now. You go down there, take this gentleman with you, and you tell them that you want to talk to a supervisor, okay? Now, he didn't say, I'm going to write you a note. I'm going to call ahead of time to let them know you're coming. No, he said, you go down there. And I thought, I can do that? So I went down there and, summed up all my courage and said, I demand to see a supervisor. And the supervisor came out, and I said, they will not let this gentleman make an application, and he's obviously disabled. He can't work, he's got a family. And of course, they had to let him make the application. And then we found out that they had been doing this to all of the Mexican farm workers that were disabled and people of color. And so we solved that issue. But then I found out at that moment, every person who was a public official, was paid for by our tax dollars, that they have a responsibility to the constituents, to us. And I don't care who they are, whether they're in the welfare office or they're in the city council or board of supervisors or in the Congress or in Sacramento. They owe us, their positions that they have, and we can make demands of them. And that is basically what it's all about. It's about, I call it Democracy 101. Democracy 101. When people understand that we, the people, have the power to make sure that these people that we elect do their job, but not only that, but we have the power and the responsibility to make sure that we get good people elected to office, okay? That's the important thing.
When you left Stockton and went to Delano, could you share just a little bit about what the working conditions were like in the fields?
Well, I was a teacher, by the way, before I left to become an organizer. And, farm workers were earning at that point in time about 70 cents an hour for their work. They had to work from sun up to sundown. Their conditions were miserable, terrible. There were no bathrooms in the field. And you can imagine for the women, especially what that was like. No drinking water, no rest periods, no right to organize, no unemployment insurance when between crop seasons or when they were laid off. They had no unemployment insurance to live on. In fact, it was so severe that they even had a law that they could not get money from the could not get food from the food bank unless they lived in one county for 12 months. So that was one of the first things we got rid of, back in CSO before we started the union, to make sure that if they lived in the state of California, that they could get a food from the food bank, then not just in one county. So it was pretty awful.
From the outside of the movement, I talked to folks who assume it was greed that caused the growers to act this way, but I have heard you talk about it was something deeper and more insidious.
Well, I think when we think of workers, and I know we passed Labor Day not too long ago, I like to ask people, how many of us know how we got the 8-hour day? People in the audience? Yeah, there were labor unions, right? And what happened to the labor leaders that fought for the 8-hour day? They were executed. They were hung. And we don't even know their names, right? It happened in Chicago. They call it May Day now. When all of these people got together, they were fighting for the 8-hour day. And so all of the laws that we have, Social Security, we can think of so many, public education, all of the laws that we have right now that protect workers came from labor unions, labor leaders. And so what we see is that the whole idea of that anybody, any worker should have to spend their lives working to make other people wealthy and other people rich and not have enough for their own families. And that's the legacy of slavery. That's the legacy of slavery. And then, of course, when you add racism, which is also part of the legacy of slavery, right, against people of color. And so the farm workers, because most of them in current history were people of color. In fact, when they passed the National Labor Relations Act way back in 1935, they specifically left out farm workers. And one of the gentlemen from the Farm Bureau Federation at a press conference, when he was asked, why did they leave out the farm workers? And he said, because they were black and brown. So, you know, and as Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. said that, you know, racism is an illness that has to be cured. And slavery is also something that has to be cured. And then that extends also to women and it extends to children also. So this is the two things that we have to, and I just like to say to all of the audience, and I hope that you will repeat this with your own families, to remind people that we're one human race. We are Homo sapiens, and our human race began in Africa. So that means that we are all Africans of different shades and colors. And I like to tell audiences, take the hand of the person next to you. Take the hand of the person next to you. And turn to that person and say, hello, relatives. and the fact that we are one human race and as Homo sapiens, we survived on planet Earth because we protected each other. We took care of each other, you know. We shared what we had with each other. And that's how we survived, because we were the smallest of the mammals, and they could have had us for lunch, okay? But they didn't, because we protected each other. And then we can remember that, you know, that we have to take care of each other. And I love, like, just even the name of your congregation, the Unitarian Universalist Church, you know. And we could think about, when we talk about immigration issues, that on this planet that we call Earth, that we, you know, we have money that crosses borders, banking. We have all kinds of goods and produce that cross borders, but yet people cannot cross borders. And if people cross borders, then we punish them. So, you know, I think it's like that John Lennon song, Imagine. You know, if we shared everything like we did at the very beginning, you know, everything that we have, then there would be no need for wars.
One of the things that I respect about you is even as you were fiercely challenging the system to change, you were willing to make changes yourself. As a growing up in the Roman Catholic faith, initially before you went to New York for those 2 years with the Great Boycott, you were opposed to reproductive rights and abortion. And I wonder too, feminism and LGBT, how did the intersectionality of the work that you were doing cause you to change?
Well, I think when it comes to feminism, I thought I was a feminist. My mother is the one that raised us because my parents divorced, and she was always the dominant figure in our family. But again, being a Catholic, had been taught that abortion is a sin. And it took my reflection on that with Gloria Steinem and Eleanor Smil, the head of the Feminist Majority Foundation. And I'm going to add the word science, okay, to that also, that a fetus is not a child until it's born. And I had to reflect on that and realizing that women need to have the right to their own bodies. And I know that in the Latino community, and not just not Latino, but people of color community, there is a lot of campaigning against the issue of abortion for women. But I'd like to quote a great saying by the Mexican president, Benito Juarez. He was the first president of Mexico after the independence from Spain. And he had a great saying. I'll say it in Spanish first. In Spanish it says, el respeto al derecho ajeno es la paz. In English, respecting other people's rights is peace. Respecting other people's rights is peace. So, and I say that as the mother of 11 children. Yeah. my youngest son, Ricky, is here with me today, and he and his wife, Vanessa. By the way, they just celebrated their birthday, okay? Ricky yesterday and Vanessa today.
Oh, happy birthday.
And they don't have any children, okay? I respect their right if they choose not to have children, okay? And I think that's what we have to do. And the same thing applies to whom you marry. If it's someone of your own sex, I mean, it doesn't affect anybody else's life. This is your life. This is your human right to marry whom you choose. If that person happens to be somebody of their own sex, it's their business and nobody else's, okay? And we have to respect that.
And isn't it great to hear that in a church?
And I have to say this, you know, and people ask me in the issue of gay rights, I cannot ever think in my whole lifetime that I ever thought that a person was gay or lesbian or transgender should be discriminated. I associated that discrimination with the discrimination against somebody because you're a woman or because you're a person of color. And I think I kind of trace it back to San Francisco when I was about 14, 15 years old. We used to go to San Francisco to a place called Pinocchio's Club. And they had, and they had people in drag, and they performed. And I was thinking, I think it goes back to that I thought that was so much fun. And, and I think we should all have a drag day. When everybody dresses up as a different sex, you know. So I can't ever remember. One of my arrests that I have actually is with gay people in San Francisco. But they were trying to bring in the medications that they needed to cure the HIV epidemic at that time, you know. So.
In 1995, you gave an interview. They were creating an oral project to record the things about the farm workers movement. And I was struck by something you said in 1995. You said you identified the country was leaning towards fascism. I'm wondering if what's been happening these last, especially 8 years, has this surprised you?
Well, no, because I think people that are poor people, low-income people, people of color, we kind of we're like the canaries in the coal mine, so to speak, because you get hit with all of these negative policies that are happening. And I think one of the proof of that is when you look at our own valley here. Not only the way that the farm workers are treated, but you look at the prison system from Bakersfield to Sacramento. I mean, there were about 22 prisons that were built since 1965. 22 prisons. And one university, the University of Merced. And we have more people in prison in the United States of America than India or China. India or China have billions of people in their population. We have millions, but we still have more people incarcerated than those other countries. And who are the people in prison? They're black, they're brown, and they're poor white people that cannot afford defense, okay? So this to me is fascism, the face of fascism. And fascism, the word fascism, I think comes from an Italian word, which means to punish and to hurt. And so we see so many of these policies that are being passed. I call them the haters. You call them something else. I call them the haters, okay? You know, to punish women, like they're doing now on the issue of abortion, to punish transgender people or gay people. You know, so many of these horrible, harmful policies are coming down. And then, of course, on education, to try to erase our history. You know, and when it comes to immigration, I do like to say this, that when we think of all of North America and South America, the continents, these were the homes of native peoples. These are the homes of native peoples. And the true immigrants to the United States, to this continent, are people like one of my great-grandmothers who came from Spain, my other great-grandfather who came from England, okay? But the rest of my family was here to greet them when they got here.
So, The Dolores Huerta Foundation is doing very important work in the Valley, especially empowering women, children, immigrants to become advocates for equity and justice. Could you tell us a little bit about what your foundation does?
Well, we try to empower people. We organize them at the grassroots level, and then they have to decide which projects that they're going to take on. You know, so a lot of infrastructure projects. You know, we have, as all of you know, here in the Valley, we have little towns where they don't have street lights, they don't have sidewalks, they don't have gutters, you know, they don't have swimming pools. They don't have recreation for the youth, whatever. But then we take on the larger issues, and one of them, of course, is education. 40% in the state of California, 40% of the highest push-out rates, expulsions of children and lowest educational quality is here in the Central Valley of California. 40% in the whole state. And when we think of Los Angeles and San Francisco, the population. So these are the children of farm workers. These are the children of farm workers, and they're not getting the quality education that they deserve, okay? So that's one of the things. We had to sue the current high school district because they expelled, in 1 year, 2,500 students of color. In 1 year. After our lawsuit, that number went down from 2,500 expulsions to less than 21. But it took a lawsuit to make that happen. And right now we are active in 17 different school districts, covering about 250 schools here, trying to even get transportation. I mean, in Sanger, Parlier, the kids weren't even getting transportation to be able to go to school. So, and we have to think about that, about how is our education funded in the United States of America? When we think of, at the federal level, which is the largest budget? The largest budget that we have is the Department of Defense. Yeah. And the second is the Department of Agriculture. But that money is not trickling down. And if we do not do something about education, we will be producing more neo-Nazis. People that are racist, you know, they're going to travel hundreds of miles to kill people because they're brown, because they're Mexicans, or because they're Jews, because they're Muslims, because they're Asians, or because they're black. You know, we have to stop this. So education is very, very important for our country if we're going to stop the fascism that is creeping in and taking over. And of course, the only way that we can do that is to elect progressive people to our Congress, you know, and to our legislatures and our school boards, okay? So it all comes back to Fred Ross's lessons about the people having the power, taking the power, and getting involved and doing the essential work, the electoral work that we need, to doing the democracy work that we need. Robert Kennedy, Senator Robert Kennedy, before he was killed, minutes before, he said, we have obligations and responsibilities to our fellow citizens. We have obligations and responsibilities to our fellow citizens. And by the way, there's a documentary. You can see a lot of what I'm talking about, that documentary. And Robert Kennedy, Senator Robert Kennedy, the documentary is called Dolores.
It's great. It's a magnificent film.
Yes, and you can get it on PBS, or also I think on Amazon.
Wonderful, wonderful.
Oh.
So I know that you gave us the gift of your presence because you're heading to the airport in just a few minutes to fly off to a national event, but you made the time to stop and be with us here at the Unitarian Universalist Church of Fresno. Thank you for the work you have done, but as importantly, thank you for the work you are doing and for the call to action you have given us all. Dolores Huerta.
Thank you. Well, thank you. So, now that you're all standing, two things. We have to remember that farm workers are essential workers, like firemen and policemen and health workers, okay? So we have to work for the day that they can get paid and have the benefits that policemen and firemen have, okay, and health workers, okay? Because they feed the firemen and the police workers and all of us too. And I'm going to ask you a couple of questions if you don't mind.
Please.
Okay, and some of you know the routine, okay? So the first question I'm going to ask you, and never forget this, I'm going to ask you, who's got the power? I want you to say, we've got the power. And then the second question is, what kind of power? I want you to shout, people power. And I want you to do it really loud so that the haters can hear us, okay? All right, let's go. Who's got the power?
We got the power!
What kind of power?
People power!
Are we going to use our people power to save our country from fascism? What do we say? ¿Se puede o no se puede?
Sí se puede.
All right, sí se puede. Thank you so much. And by the way, there's an act on the legislature right now. It's called the Vision Act to get ICE, which is part of the immigration that are really mistreating immigrants a lot, to get them out of California. And so... So if you can just make a phone call to Governor Newsom and say, sign the Vision Act, okay? An email, a phone call to the governor's office saying, sign the Vision Act, please protect our immigrants. Thank you so much. Muchas gracias. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Please be seated. We can go right into the anthem.
Well, it looks like it might be a hard road, but I'm gonna walk it with you. And I know you might have a heavy load, but I can carry some too. I will lift you up when they push you down. I will raise my voice and stand my ground. Well, it looks like it might be a hard road, but I'm gonna walk it with you. And it looks like it might be a hard night, but I ain't going nowhere. And I know it's gonna be a hard fight, but I will stay right here. I will shine a light in the darkest hour. I will face the man in the tallest tower. Well, it looks like it might be a long night, but I ain't going nowhere. I will work, I will fight, I will drive the horn of love. I will speak, I will shout, I will sing in the skies above. Well, it looks like it might be a perilous climb, but I will follow your lead. And I know it might be a long time until the last one of us is freed. But I will hold on tight, stay by your side. I will be with you for this whole damn ride. Well, it looks like it might be a perilous climb, but I will follow your lead. Well, it looks like it might be a hard road, but I am going with you. And I know you might have a heavy load, but I can carry some too. I will lift you up when they push you down. I will raise my voice and stand my ground. Well, it looks like it might be a hard road, but I'm gonna walk it with you. I'm gonna walk it with you. I'm gonna walk it with you. I will walk, will climb. Shine the light the whole night through, because it looks like it might be a hard road, but I'm gonna walk it with you.
On the second Sunday of each month, we hold a special offering for a social justice group, organization, or individual that is in alignment with our Unitarian Universalist values. This Sunday, I'm hoping, is Yolanda here today? Yolanda is not here, but Yolanda was to be here. She's the executive director of the West Fresno Family Resource Center. This will be the recipient, and if you think of the work they're doing, think of everything Dolores Huerta talked about. This organization is assisting families in West Fresno. There's education happening, there are resources, there's job skills, everything that needs to empower folks who are oftentimes marginalized, pushed to the edges here in Fresno. The West Fresno Family Resource Center, as you are able, we hope that you will make an offering. And in that spirit, let's join our voices in our call to offering, which will appear right there. If not us, then who? If not open hearts, then what? If not now, then when? If not here, then where? If not generously, then how? If not us, then who? Here's how you can make a financial contribution right now. And if you're on our Alluvial Avenue campus, you can also drop cash or a check into the basket on your way out of the sanctuary. Next Sunday will be our monthly third Sunday collection for food for the Wesley Methodist Food Pantry, and also the program at Valley Children's Hospital. As you leave the sanctuary, the ushers are hopefully passing out pieces of paper to let you know what will be needed. So a moment of music to inspire you to give.
Daughter and granddaughter of Mexican immigrants who came to the United States in search of a better life. My family lived in La Grande and Planada, two small farming communities just northeast of Fresno. I grew up hearing about Dolores Huerta and her fight to improve the working conditions of farm laborers. My family benefited from her efforts, so it was truly a privilege to meet Dolores Huerta in person today and to hear her speak with us. And I am truly grateful for all your social justice work. As we prepare to end our service and enter into our afternoon, please join us in our chalice extinguishing words. Extinguimos esta llama, pero no la luz de la verdad, el calor de comunidad, o el fuego de nuestro compromiso. Estos los llevaremos en el corazón. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts. And Tim, I think you have a few reminders for us.
I do, Adeline, and thank you for being part of today's service. We so appreciate it. So just a few reminders. Cecily Callahan is our coordinator of community life, and you'll be doing a tour of the campus for anybody who is new or newish. They can meet you right down here after we do our sung benediction for a tour of our church campus. We are going to have coffee hour inside today because of the weather, which means we need your help bringing in tables and rearranging the chairs. So please, those who are able to do that, we appreciate it, and I say thank you in advance. We'll also have a question and answer table with our board member, Gail West. Also, in this side of the sanctuary, we'll be having an author reading and question and answer with Cheyenne Genvy, the author of Dragonflies and Demons. Next Sunday is Bring a Friend Sunday. I'll be offering a sermon called The Goodness Within, and it's a perfect sermon to introduce folks to Unitarian Universalism. Sometime in the next 3 weeks, we are going to have a fire drill. So I need to kind of tell you about this. If and when that awful loud alarm goes off, and it is really loud, we are going to need to exit through these doors and then out past into the garden. So it means everybody is going to move this way and out the doors, through the courtyard, out into the garden. Anyone who has mobility issues, we invite you to just hold on and then head out the front doors here and go down the sidewalk. But we need everyone else to go that way. We ask parents to not go and collect your children. We promise they will be being taken care of by our wonderful staff. So sometime, maybe next week, wink, wink, there will be a fire drill. Last, as our congregation continues the vital work of building a beloved community, we encourage you to join this season's Unitarian Universalist Association National Common Read and Discussion Group as we explore the book Mistakes and Miracles, Congregations on the Road to Multiculturalism. And all the way from our virtual campus in Madison, Wisconsin, Karen has just an invitation for us.
Hola. Hello, everyone. You're invited to join facilitators Riva and Ellis for the UUA Common Read, reflecting on the book Mistakes and Miracles, which follows the journeys of 5 different congregations through their commitment to create a multicultural, anti-racist, beloved community. There will be opportunities for discussion as we think about where we are as a congregation currently and envision where we are headed on our own road to multiculturalism. Sign up today at the Adult RE table or on our website for 4 sessions on October 1st, 8th, 15th, and 29th from 12:30 to 2:30 p.m. live on Alluvial Avenue.
Thank you, Karen. Last but not least, we have a tradition that we like to welcome folks who are here for the first, second, or third time. We don't do it to embarrass you. We're genuinely glad you are with us today, and we want to gently express that gratitude. So if this is your first, second, or third time, and you're feeling brave enough, we're going to ask you to just stand for a moment. We promise we won't leave you standing alone for long. Welcome, 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 welcome. I invite the rest of the congregation to rise with them. Feel free to join hands for our closing words and sung benediction, or to just place your hands over your heart. These words are from Unitarian Universalist Wayne Arneson, and I offer them all in the spirit of Dolores Huerta. Take courage, friends. The way is often hard, the path is never clear, and the stakes are very high. Take courage, for deep down there is another truth. You are not alone. We are not alone. May it be so. Blessed be. Amen. And let's sing.
Go from here in peace, go with love. Go from here in peace, go with love. Go from here in peace, go with love. In love, go in peace.
Shalom and assalamu alaikum.